It wasn't just a conversation. We were actively changing configurations, actively working on people's policies because they felt that was a threat too.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Incident Report presented by Quest Technology Management. I'm Paul Burke, Director of Technology Communications. Every week, I'm joined by VP of Sales and Partnerships, Adam Burke. The Incident Report brings you conversations with thought leaders, business innovators, and channel mavericks to help you stay productive and agile in a changing technology landscape. Today, we welcome Mike Dillon, Chief Technology Officer for Quest. Mike brings over 27 years of disaster recovery, security, and engineering experience to his role. Dillon leads technology strategy development and planning and serves as Chief Consultant and Director for Quest Professional, Managed, and Cloud Services. As CTO, Dillon oversees a team of consultants, engineers, experts, and project managers. Dillon created and developed the Quest Application and Development Service Providers platforms that are ongoing today. Welcome back, everybody, to the Incident Report. Adam, how are you doing?
Good, Paul. Excited to be here. A lot going on. I cannot believe it's already the third month of the year. We started off this series a little bit talking about Log4j and the vulnerabilities that was exposing. Some decades, nothing happens. And then in some weeks, decades happen. And I think this is one of those weeks. Mike, what we're seeing right now in Eastern Europe, the Ukraine situation, Russia, everyone's talking about cyber threats. So we thought that part of this series, that we're talking about the Log4j vulnerability, would love to get your thoughts on the current events and how we're dealing with customers and their concerns about what's going on from a digital and cybersecurity landscape. Any immediate thoughts of what you're seeing out there and what the trends are right now?
Well, it definitely has been a hot first 2 or 3 months here of 2022 around security. Like you said, talking about the Log4j, which was a lot of effort from vendors, customers, trying to figure out what that threat was like, and then rolling right into the federal government coming out, advising. Probably the most I've seen from them out into the public on advising. Usually it's agencies, maybe DoD contractors and some of those things, but literally the federal government pushed out a lot of information to talk about how to deal with Russia and then how to deal with some of the threats coming out of like Iran. And that maybe the Log4j primed the pump. But when it got to Russia, talking about Russia threats coming into countries and companies reaching out to devices or systems over in Russia, that really got everyone's blood rolling here on the idea that, okay, we really have to look at this visibility strong. Last one of the episodes, we talked about that visibility. This really did get going. So we launched when the first federal CISA report came out. The government just didn't come out and go, hey, follow the NIST and do the same things we've been telling you to do the past 15 years. They sent out a notice saying, hey, specifically, these are some threats that we're specifically seeing from Russia. And this is a list of recommendations that we specifically tell you to do and highly suggest that you do it. And in some cases, probably a mandate, depending on if your company's federally regulated or not. So that was really clear from the federal government, probably the clearest we've seen from them in a while. And then that message got out to a lot of our customers. A lot of customers were instantly wanting to get up on the call with us. We advised first our managed services customers, here's what the federal government's saying. Here's what we recommend too. Federal government seems to like launch these messages on a Thursday. So we get it, read through the message, figure out if we would back up the recommendation, and then we launch it into our customers. So we launched that message out to our customers on Friday. That Friday night, that Saturday, and throughout the weekend, we were actively working with customers, looking at the visibility capabilities that they do have, or if they're on our services, tuning our services to block very specific countries, very specific sites, and people were into doing that. It wasn't just a conversation. We were actively changing configurations, actively working on people's policies because they felt that was a threat too. It was a really good time that people would ask, why would anybody talk to anybody over in Russia? And why would anybody in Russia come into my environment? And now there's a lot of malware, a lot of spyware, a lot of ads that all of a sudden when people launch, I'm not sure if everybody's ever had the privilege of launching some of these websites and just see how many connections go out to different countries. You may not specifically be trying to go to something in like Russia, but because you went to some website, it's going to try to go to Russia. So people finally ask themselves, why would I be doing any communications with folks in Russia? And just stop it. It was really good because people didn't get into a big bureaucracy discussion, didn't get into a lot of thinking too much here. They just ask that simple question and go, we don't do anything in Russia. Stop talking to anything in Russia. I mean, literally, like you said, when we kicked off this year, it went from Log4j, it went into these dialogues, and people have been really thinking about who do I want to communicate with outside of the United States.
So that shift in mindset, it started with the Log4j, and it was almost an unidentifiable vulnerability. It was everywhere. And so it got people's attention. Do you think the tangible nature of, hey, why would I be communicating with an IP or a system in Russia? If I have no business dealings there, why would I even allow network traffic to come to my environment or to leave my environment to communicate in any way there? Do you think that tangible aspect of it kind of gave a little bit more shape and kind of flick the lights on for people as far as I'd have to change my behavior? We talked last time around what sparks people to actually change behavior. Do you think what we're seeing going on in Eastern Europe right now kind of flicked that switch for a significant part of the enterprise community and middle market community?
I think so. I mean, it got to the executive level too, which was at the executive level, people just asked that question too. Yeah, you're right. Just block it. Don't go into, I'm not sure, why are you bothering me with this question? Is there a problem? Those type of things that may kick up when somebody's trying to make some of those decisions. But boy, people just said, just block it. You know, a lot of times people aren't sure where their partners are really from, or maybe where their internal people need to communicate with. But this one got answered really quickly. And I think it had a lot to do with just, yeah, we don't want anything from Russia. And again, the executives are being told too, why didn't you tell your team to stop communicating with things in Russia? You're not doing business. You're a regional bank out in the Midwest. Why are you doing anything with Russia? Just apply the rule. And so it just went really quickly with that, which is, it's not like we haven't talked to people about geo-blocking is what that's called in some of the technical terms here. But it's not like people haven't talked about geo-blocking. But it was enough event here and enough message from the federal government saying, just don't think too much about it, just block it. And at the same time, I think IT, hey, don't worry about it either. If there's something that we do find out later that is stopping a business practice, don't worry about it. We'll address it. Where maybe that was flipped before. Hey, if you're not sure, don't do anything. You know, they don't apply that rule. So being overcautious, they'd rather not apply the rule because they don't want to be the ones to be blamed for stopping some business process or some, business communications. A little bit, flip it on the other side, go and block it. And we'll deal with those other things as they come up, which was really great. The decision-making really did flip that quickly as we got into what's happening over in Russia. And I think, like you said, part of that primed that discussion a little bit with the Log4j, again, a very highly visible threat, and threat actors have been using that as a vector. I think their insurance companies are coming down, telling them, why aren't you making these decisions faster? There's a lot of things coming at people for security right now, where people are having a hard time maybe not making a decision or putting a decision off and not get ridiculed by somebody later.
Yeah, it happened when we were reaching out to our clients around Log4j vulnerabilities. It even happened when we were reaching out around the federal notifications from the Iran threat, as well as what's going on in Russia. You kind of sometimes get the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, almost like accusatory, like, hey, you're spinning stuff up. And I could see how a customer could view that in that way if you're trying to sell them a widget, or if you're trying to slam in a new software package or something else. We successfully communicate with customers saying, hey guys, we're not trying to sell you something here. We're trying to notify you of an existing threat and take corrective action as you see fit. Here's some things you could do. Any thoughts there, Mike?
Yeah, first of all, we see a lot of messages come from vendors and different agencies week over week. And we're going through a lot of information about what is it important, what do we think is important too to communicate with the customers, because some of these threats and the FUD that you're talking about there is real. It's out there. And we're trying to, okay, what do we really have to go tell our customers? This one's important. Out of everything you read, which sometimes it's hard to read what's important because it all sounds the same thing after a while. But when we go to our customer base, our existing customer base, and even non-existing, if we're trying to reach out and just advise people about it, we want to make sure that it's something that we feel that's really important. So it was launched by the federal government. And once again, like I said earlier, that was a really good message. The federal government on the CISA report was really specific about some of the recommendations. And it wasn't just a bunch of, hey, you've got to be certified by 2024 or something like that. It was like, you need to look at putting in these recommendations today. And I think that was really important. That's a message that we went to our customers with too. There's always people that are thinking we're trying to sell something. And do we have a sales team? Of course we have a sales team. This is usually coming from our operations team that is saying, here's what we highly recommend that we get up on a call with you right now to put in these recommendations. So it's not coming from a salesperson, it's coming from our SOC. And when our SOC releases that message, we have to release it. There's always going to be a couple of people that think it's FUD, which was kind of ironic. We actually had one that thought it was FUD, probably one of our only customers when we launched one of those emails that came from the federal government. He actually had systems that looked to be compromised, and he's thinking that we're sending them FUDs. We have to stay above the line, communicate. This is what our SOC is seeing. Here's what we're recommending, and keep our customers aware and provide them recommendations. Apply configuration changes or filters per what the federal government's saying or per what the threat actors are trying to get into to prevent that. And just keep moving forward. Hopefully people will see that eventually. Hopefully they'll see it before they get compromised. But we also had a lot of customers after the Russian and the Iran message that really called us back, said, thank you for getting on this. Thank you for walking us through this. We weren't sure exactly what this meant either. Thank you for getting your team in. We had our SOC team on with customers within 20, 30 minutes as soon as we launched that email, working with customers on active configuration. And they made decisions quickly too. And our teams worked really well to get those implemented. That was great. Probably the best I've seen from an organization and from customers and just the whole community, if you will, working together, knowing that, hey, this is a real threat. Russia really does attack people, and there really are things in Iran that's taking place, and we really need to apply some of these recommendations as soon as possible.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you, Mike. We really appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah. Thank you guys. And a great topic here. Again, like Adam said, kicking off the first 2 or 3 months of the year, we were primed with Log4j, roll right into what we're dealing with right now with Russia and with the Iran. And there's other countries too, right? The unfavorable countries. Just continue to get the message out there to our customers. How do I continue to monitor and block and patch those type of activities week over week, day over day? So great stuff. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much for listening. The Incident Report is brought to you by Quest Technology Management. With over 40 years of experience, Quest is a leading technology integrator working seamlessly with your staff and systems to achieve your IT goals. Learn more about everything they do at questcis.com. And if you have questions or suggestions for the podcast, you can always email Adam and myself at theincidentreport@questcis.com. Quick reminder that Quest team will be attending Channel Partners Conference and Expo in Las Vegas on April 11th through the 14th, and we still have opportunities for you to grab a spot on our calendars. We are looking forward to discussing partner alignment opportunities, including joint business strategies and how Quest can help you grow your book of business. Schedule your appointment with the co-host of the Incident Report and VP of Partnerships, Adam Burke, Quest National Partner Manager, Gary Schick, or VP of Marketing, Darcy Baker. Links are in the episode description. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.